All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. There is a growth lever that many companies, CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs are sleeping on, and that's not just specifically LinkedIn, but ghostwriting on LinkedIn. So what if a single LinkedIn post from your CEO can actually land you a term sheet or maybe even trigger a qualified lead? Look, in 2025, CEO ghostwriting on LinkedIn is not optional. This is a strategic growth lever. It's things that we do for our own clients here at my agency. We're going to teach you how to do it. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how to ghostwrite, powered by tools like Omnicreator.club, which is a fantastic tool. If you want to go check it out, go to Omnicreator.club, use the code YouTube to get a free trial. And we use this tool along with ghostwriting for CEOs at companies to not only help them raise money, whether you're a startup or even a scale up, in terms of getting clinical traction or commercial traction. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Omar Khateeb. I run a marketing agency in the medtech space that helps early stage startups all the way to scale ups do three specific things. One, attract investors. Two, get early adopters. And three, get traction and convert the attention into pipeline. And for those of you who are returning back to the channel, welcome back. Happy to be here. And if you're new, be sure to give us a subscribe. Now let's get into it. So let's start with why CEO influence actually matters. So LinkedIn is the #1 platform for investor and buyer attention in the entire world. If you think about when it comes to B2B data, LinkedIn is that. This is why Microsoft made it its second largest acquisition, buying it for over $30 billion, second only to their investment in Activision, which was $50 billion. So this is Microsoft's second largest investment. Of the suite of things that Microsoft provides, you would imagine that this is extremely important to them. Now, what makes it powerful is that whether you're raising money as an early stage startup or trying to get clinical commercial traction, thought leading as a CEO is super important, mainly because people trust people. And so when it comes to stories, telling the story from the point of view of the branded company account, sure, it's important. What's more important is that stories have to be told by an individual, and that starts with the CEO. If you think about your story as a spear that's going to be penetrating the market, the momentum behind that spear, the tip of that spear, is really going to be that CEO telling that story to the market, and that really starts on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has all these B2B decision makers, clinicians, and physicians are going on there and spending more time posting content clinically, and also investors are on there. I've spoken to a number of business development people at large strategics. You can imagine who they are. Think about the top 5. All of them agreed and said that in their due diligence process when surveying and following a company, LinkedIn is part of that process, because that's where they're starting to get their updates to see what's going on with the company. Are they getting clinical traction? Are their competitors are interested in it? And again, when you post just from the company page, that's a great way to start. But always remember that the company page is LinkedIn's customer, meaning that when you post on the company's page, LinkedIn's going to want you to pay more money to boost that post, no matter how good that post is. But when you post from a person's page, an individual's page, in this case, the CEO, an individual on LinkedIn is the product of LinkedIn, meaning that when they have content that goes viral or is doing really well, LinkedIn's going to push that in front of more people. And so a great way to start essentially owning a category and monopolizing attention starts with your CEO's LinkedIn profile. Now, let's talk about the reality of ghostwriting and driving fundraising. For one, we all know that having a strong narrative is going to give you strong leverage. Look, if there's all these different companies and these VCs are trying to decide where they're going to deploy their money, always going to remember that energy flows where attention is. And so things that are going to be most relevant, things that are going to be popping up on your newsfeed constantly, are going to be the things that not only get your attention, but they're going to be assigned importance. That's just the way things work. Think about elections that happen every single year. Usually it's the political candidate that's able to get the most attention, most traction, and they end up winning. This is why earned media is so important. So when it comes to that, here's some things that you should consider posting. On the traction side, consider posting your revenue, right? Or at least some of the growth, maybe the user growth and adoption. Perhaps certain adoption metrics, certain hospitals or clinics are adopting your product, right? There are different ways to storytell and show that adoption is happening. If you're pre-commercial, pre-FDA, even taking photos in front of a hospital, let's say that you're visiting, that you're trying to do a collaboration with, starts to signal early to the market, hey, these are some leading indicators. So if you're taking a photo in front of a hospital about some kind of collaboration or research study or something, you can imagine that an investor or strategic is going to think that, oh, that hospital is likely to become a clinical user and adopter and eventually a paying customer of this company. You can also focus on the vision, right? Marketing an opportunity and why now is super important. And I think the most important thing when it comes to founder-led, CEO-led content is that you have to have a really strong point of view. This is something that we work really hard on here in my agency. We help our companies do that. If you're interested to learn more, just go to growmymedtech.com. We'll take care of you right away and give you a free consult. Now, going back to the vision, why is vision so important? Well, when it comes down to it, you can show a lot of data, right? But for every single company, so when we think about the technology adoption curve, if you look at the very beginning of the curve on the left, that small little area of early adopters, that is not just applicable to your clinical customers, but that's also for investors. Not every investor is going to invest in your company right now because you're technically a PowerPoint company. You're not a spreadsheet company with a bunch of revenue. And from a clinical standpoint, the chair of XYZ academic hospital may not adopt you because you don't have enough clinical papers. So how do you overcome that? This is where ghostwriting and marketing solves that problem, because then you're able to create a very strong signal in the market and attract those people. But that's only going to happen when you have a very strong narrative and a strong point of view, and you're communicating that on a weekly and consistent basis on LinkedIn. And I know what you're thinking. Hey, I'm a CEO, I'm a founder, I'm busy with so many other things. I don't have time to do this. We're gonna get to that at the end of this video to explain how this can be done, specifically using Omnicreator. And finally, look, when you start getting ready to raise money and when you get tens of millions of dollars in your bank account, you're also trying to compete with the best in the world. You're not just competing with, these random med device and med tech companies. You're competing with the Googles and Facebooks of the world for talent. And so this is also a great way to start showcasing the team that you have, the things that you guys do, so that an A player who usually has their head down, isn't looking for a job, starts seeing your content online. And then when you have your recruiter reach out and try and poach that person over, they'll know who the hell you are. All right, so let's talk about ghostwriting for demand generation. Okay, before you start generating leads and everything, you want to start generating demand. And so thought leadership is a great way to build trust, which is going to convert over into qualified leads. And if you think about the way that really works, is that you want to create a really big top of funnel, because essentially, even though, let's say you do a webinar or you post some content and you get a bunch of leads, you don't know where in the adoption cycle those people are. Maybe they're later adopters, maybe they're early adopters. You have no idea. And so the best way to do this is to scale that narrative through ghostwriting, have a consistent message online, and also show the wins, right? Maybe there's some things that you can show in terms of frameworks, right? Maybe you can share lessons as a CEO, right? These are the kind of things that are going to signal to the market and attract an investor to come and invest in you, or a clinical adopter. And believe it or not, clinicians do find it very important to understand the leadership behind these companies, because they're going to be working with you. Think of it like this: a great early adopter isn't just a paying customer, it's somebody who's going to work directly with you in the product team. And so one of the most persuasive things you can do is using LinkedIn to tell the story over and over and over again to generate that inbound demand and convert it into a paying customer, into an early market release site, a research partner, etc. You get the point. And the one thing I do want to recommend to you is that if you start posting more on LinkedIn and have somebody ghostwrite on your behalf, okay, what you want to do is, instead of having a call to action like, hey, book a demo or email us to learn more, say something like, if you're facing similar challenges, I'd love to hear how you're approaching them. Comment below. Try and drive engagement in your content and just don't go for a straight sale. The bonus to this is that if you integrate what you're doing on LinkedIn into your CRM, you can start seeing signals about who's engaging with what pieces of content, and that could be a signal for somebody on your sales team to reach out. This is, again, something that we do here on the agency side. I recommend it as a best practice for your company. So what makes great CEO ghostwriting happen? Well, I think about it 4 specific elements that you can't skip, and you think of this as ASDC: authenticity, strategy, data-driven storytelling, and consistency over volume. Okay, let's start with authenticity. Authenticity is that you want to capture your CEO's real voice, okay? And what I mean by that is that not just the problem you solve, your product, but also what kind of books are they into? What hobbies do they have? Do they have a family? How much are they comfortable sharing with their personal life? Because then that develops a lot of trust. Trust is the foundation of all sales and all persuasion. And whether you're raising money or you're trying to get early clinical adopters, it's a sale. That also includes trying to recruit employees. Recruiting top talent is a sale, right? And this helps with that. Next is strategy. You want to align things with launches, with raises and events. And the reason why this is really important is because one thing that you can do for your CEO is to help guide them when they speak to investors. They should make some promises or at least updates. We're going to reach this clinical milestone on this date. We're hoping to get FDA clearance on this date. We're going to do X, Y, Z, right? Because more often than not, when they engage with an investor, even after the initial Zoom call, they're in a dating phase. The investor is doing some due diligence, and a great way to show that you can do what you say you're doing is to make predictions in the future and then make that future happen. And so the best way to do that is to collaborate with your CEO to understand what kind of updates they gave investors or potential investors. And when those things happen, create content around it and post it on LinkedIn so investors can see that. That's also applicable when it comes to clinical adopters. If you have a clinician that's going to be considering using your product, you want to also signal to them that clinically you're starting to advance the product and more adoption is happening. You don't want this to happen in the background, and God forbid, you don't want to just only talk about these things at your booth at a conference. Third thing is data-driven storytelling. You want to combine metrics with moments, right? So again, you want to talk about, for example, let's say a clinical research study, right? You want to include the data involved in that, but also highlight that as a moment. It's really important to find really unique ways to drive those metrics and storytell. Even if it's something as simple as announcing that, hey, your LinkedIn company page hit 1,000 followers, and that's an indication of interest from the market and traction, etc., so on and so forth. If you actually try, you can find a story in all data no matter what. And finally, consistency is always going to beat volume, okay? So 2 times a week over a period of a year is going to beat 10 times a week, like sporadically here and there. Think of it like this. Attention requires constant nurturing over time. And so you're better off showing up twice a week and telling that story than just a bunch of times and then you fizzle out. Great example of this is that internally for a client of ours that sells in the interventional pulmonology space, they didn't want to do a lot of content right away. So they wanted to just focus on 2 posts a week. Okay, and so we did that, and 2 posts a week over a period of 2 months, and it took only 2 months before the chair of a really big hospital system came inbound, not even to their salesperson, not to their CEO, to the company page of all places, and left a message saying, hey, I'd really like to get a demo for my department, right? And so that's something that goes from cold to warm. But think of it like this, you can also convert warm leads into hot leads. What I mean by that is that there might be a clinician or a hospital department that you already prospected, you met at a conference, you did outbound, so they're aware of you. But keep in mind, like everybody, we're all busy, same with these clinicians. So how do you stay top of mind so that something signals to them and you remind them of who you are and what you're doing, and they come inbound to you? When they're just posting whenever they remember to, you're losing visibility to companies that actually plan it. And again, it's not rocket science. You don't have to have these amazing moments. And I think too many companies put so much pressure on themselves to think about, oh, is this newsworthy or is this really good content? Let the market decide that. Consistency is better than nothing. So now let's talk about why you want to use Omnicreator to do all your ghostwriting and to help you with this. When you usually start ghostwriting for a CEO, if you have their direct LinkedIn login, the problem with that is that there is a security problem with that, because if that account gets compromised, that's a really bad look on you. The other side of it is that using LinkedIn natively, it's a great platform. I love it. But there are some tools that are not quite there on LinkedIn. I think Omnicreator does a fantastic job of pulling some great tools together and leveraging those things on LinkedIn. So some of those key things that Omnicreator provides is secure LinkedIn publishing, so there's no shared passwords. Your CEO will sign up with Omnicreator and just add you as an admin. AI generated drafts for your CEO's voice. So with ChatGPT API built into Omnicreator for Omnicreator GPT, there's some really unique ways that you can leverage it, so that way you can start ghostwriting on behalf of your CEO. You have a dashboard with post and follower performance. So not only can you see and report back to your CEO that, hey, what we're doing is working for your account and the company account, but the other side of it is that you want to also be able to track and see like what posts are actually doing really well. And there's some evergreen posts, like let's say your CEO learning something from a really good book or having some good conversation. That content can be reused in the future. And so you don't want that to be lost in the LinkedIn newsfeed over time. You want to be able to bring that back to life. And finally, Omnicreator has this really unique feature, which is a built-in community to boost reach organically. They don't automate likes or anything like that, but there's an actual newsfeed within Omnicreator of all these other creators in medtech and other industries who circulate, and when they see content from other creators on the Omnicreator newsfeed, out of goodwill, they go and like and engage with each other. And this is something I do recommend your CEO do when they have time. All right, so if you want to start ghostwriting for your CEO to help them raise money, raise awareness with investors, and also generate demand, own a category, and start getting some traction commercially, get some early adopters, get some clinical adopters, all that and more, the best way to do it is through Omnicreator.club. Omnicreator is essentially a software that plugs into your CEO's LinkedIn. That way there's no security issues, and then it has some fantastic features to not only help them scale their content and create meaningful content that's going to drive results, but also help you get some quick and early wins. So first, go to Omnicreator.club. Once you're there, go ahead and scroll down here, and try Omnicreator for free. Go ahead and use the code YouTube and sign up, and that way you'll be able to get in there. And by the way, as the recording of the video is, pricing is pretty reasonable for this, $20 a month, or you end up doing $192 for a year. I recommend just doing the $192 for the year and to be done with it, save a little bit of money. So once you're in the platform, you can go to this help section right here and watch the video about how to specifically set up Omni and connect it. But once you're in there, right, your CEO, has to log in and connect to their LinkedIn profile. Then they're going to want to go and invite a team member. This is where they're going to invite you. You're going to create an Omnicreator profile as well, and they'll add you as an editor to their profile. Okay. Now let's talk about how I like to use Omnicreator. So there's a few things. Here is the create section. So of course, when you type, you can start seeing over here in the see more, right? This is sort of the preview, right? And of course, when you highlight text, you can go ahead and bold things. You can add emojis, okay? And more importantly, you can look up hashtags. So hashtags are not being used as much on LinkedIn, but they still are functional. And you can type in a hashtag like medicine, right? I always recommend 4 to 8 hashtags for a post. You don't want to litter them, but these are still being followed, and of course they're used when it comes to the SEO internally for LinkedIn. Now, the most exciting part of Omnicreator is that all the content you create, whether it's a photo, a video, a PDF, it's all saved here in the cloud. So as you can see here in my photos, if I type in sales, here are all the different sales photos that I've created over the years, right? If I go to my video, here are all the sales videos that I've made. Now, once you have a video, you can click transcribe. So as you can see, what OmniGPT does immediately, which, frankly, ChatGPT for some reason doesn't do, is transcribe videos immediately. So you can transcribe the video and then tell it, turn this into a compelling LinkedIn post with a strong hook and meaningful body, and send it. And just like that, Omnicreator is now creating a post for you. And you can take this and tailor it for your CEO however you want. So if we take this post and copy and paste it here, now I can go back and attach that same video. So now, not only do I have a great video, but I have rich content to come in here as well. Now, aside from that, you can also look at the PDF. So maybe these are some clinical studies that you can post, other really great pieces of information. And again, I think it helps when your CEO shares some things that are not just only specific to your company. It could be valuable to other CEOs. It could be things about leadership. Just think of it like this. How do you create a brand for your CEO that is going to be an attraction for a lot of different people, whether it's investors, commercial adopters, or prospective employees? Now, finally, if you have a post that needs a call to action, perhaps you're doing an event, okay, and you want to show a registration, a lot of times you can put the link in the post here. But a lot of times what I like to do is put the link here, which is the auto comment. That way your CEO auto comments on their own post. And in the actual post, they can tell you to, hey, go check the comments for the link. Or perhaps they're providing insights on a study. Now, finally, here's what you do next, is that when you create these posts, you click Save Draft. Now, when your CEO is ready to review them, they come into the post section, and of course they can see the entire month of all the planned posts, and they can even go backwards and see the previous posts. They're gonna come under drafts, and they're gonna see, hey CEO, for review. They click the edit button, and now they can review this entire post. Maybe they can make a few tweaks here and there, and once they're ready, they can either say approved, or maybe they just delete the part where you used to do that, and they can click Save Draft again. Now you can come back to the draft section, go to the post that they've approved, and they can delete things, they can edit things, whatever, and then you can either post it now, or more importantly, because you're a busy marketer as well, go ahead and schedule it out. So that way you schedule it and you set it and forget it. Now, when it comes to ghostwriting, you want to use data to start driving your content so you understand what's working, what's not. What you can do is under the stats section, you're going to see two things. Number one is the number of followers and also the number of post reactions. So if we look at the last 90 days for me, there's a variety of different posts that did well, but this one performed extremely well. And so if I look at it and say, oh yeah, this is a really good post, here's the key, is that these kind of posts are evergreen. It's not just a moment in time. Like this was a specific report. And so when a post does really, really well, I can recycle the post, and Omnicreator is immediately going to bring the content, including the video, the picture, whatever piece of content you attach to it in here. And maybe you decide to experiment and say, hey, we're gonna bold this. Maybe we'll use some emojis. Maybe we'll have a different hook. So now you're leveraging past content that's worked well, and you start stacking growth. And let me tell you, it looks really good at the end of each month or each quarter when you can go to your CEO and say, hey, look, here is your follower trajectory for the last 90 days. And then we see a bump in followers as correlated to this post right here. So we're going to reuse this post. We're going to come up with this hook. And also, since this kind of content resonated with our audience, let's figure out other pieces of content that we can build just like this. And by the way, I have great news for you as a marketer. You can attach your company LinkedIn to this, and you can see the exact same thing. So here is my State of MedTech LinkedIn company account, and I can see the number of followers and the best performing post. And this is at no extra charge on Omni. Now, finally, the last thing that I want to recommend is that there are some great tools in Omni within the toolbox. Definitely check those things out. One of the things that I love is going to LinkedIn Save Posts. So I save a lot of posts on LinkedIn. It's really like not clear exactly where they go, but this is a link that directly sends you to all the posts you save on LinkedIn. And then of course, every time you post something, it goes up in the community tab. And so on here, other Omni creators, which a lot of them are in the medtech and tech space, will see the content. They'll either repost it or go and like and share it. And so this is a great and organic way for your CEO to get real people engaging and liking their content, which is going to boost it up. So that's it for the video. For those who want to try, go to omnicreator.club. Again, use the code YouTube, get that free trial, and sign up and start ghostwriting for your CEO, not only so they can raise money, but also get early clinical traction and signal to the market that they are a thought leader in the space and your company is going to be the category king. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. Be sure to leave a comment. What did you think about this video? What was most helpful? And if there's something specific you'd like us to make a video about, let us know in the comments and we'll make it. As always, we'll see you next time.